In today's video, we're going to be covering everything regarding our solar, including everything that we use, the brands, how much it costs. We're talking from sun to outlet.
Baby, don't you understand that we only get one life? I wanna make it count, honey. Come on now and take my hand.
But I do want to give credit where credit is due, and I got this video idea from Ambition Strikes. They did this video, I want to say over 6 months ago. It may have been a year ago. Don't quote me on that, but I'll leave their video right here. I love the way that it was structured. They were very to the point while also being incredibly informative. So while they have a super fancy, elaborate, nice setup, we kind of have the opposite. So I thought it would be fun to give our take. It's also a really sunny day, but I don't want to film the entire video in my sunglasses, so excuse all the squinting. Where we live, we do have the option to run city power, and Cody and I got quoted when we first moved in what it would cost us to put city power out here.
Which was about $10,000.
That included us doing all of the work, mostly Cody, and all they would be doing is pulling the wire through the conduit. So it was a lot of money. We would have also had to put a transformer on the property,
as well as we would have had to grant an easement to the power company, meaning that from where the property line or where the power line is, they would have owned the entire length of where the line is, as well as I think 5 feet on each side. So like a 10-foot wide path from the pole all the way up there, all the way to where our house is. Meaning at any time they could come in and just tear up our land to fix the power lines or do maintenance or whatever. And that wasn't really something that I wanted to do.
The startup fee, we would have also had a monthly power bill, and that wasn't really something that we wanted either. It's very important to us to be completely self-reliant, self-sustainable, and having to pay a power bill each month doesn't fit into my debt-free lifestyle that we're trying to accomplish here. Something else that we wanted to take into consideration was the amount of storms that we get and power outages. And so a lot of the people that live around us, when we have really heavy storms, experience power outages, which is not something that Cody and I really have ever had an issue with.
While our power lines from the pole to the house would have been underground had we chosen to go that route, from the front of the property to, I guess, the front of the subdivision is all just power poles above ground. So if there's ever a tree that falls or anything like that, then they're losing power. And the lines literally run through the trees the whole way, probably a mile to the front of the subdivision. So it can happen pretty frequently.
But let's actually head down to our solar setup and just get into the nitty-gritty details.
Our current system consists of about 20 kilowatt hours of battery capacity, 4 kilowatts of solar input, and then a 5,000 watt inverter. So if you're new to solar, the 20 kilowatts of lithium batteries is how much power we can store. The 4 kilowatts of solar is how much we can make in about an hour. And the 5 kilowatts for the inverter is how much power we can output at any given time.
If you remember from the very, very beginning, we started with 2 solar panels and the tiniest of tiny inverters. And since then, we have made some major upgrades, our biggest of which was about a year ago. And so far, so good. We've loved our setup and haven't had any issues. We started our setup with golf cart batteries, mostly for convenience and affordability. But since then, we have upgraded to lithium batteries.
We pretty much always knew that lithium was the way that we wanted to go. We just kind of had to wait until we were able to afford it.
But first, let's talk solar panels and mount.
Since we were trying to build the house as quick as we possibly could, since we kind of needed somewhere to live, we also needed to get power as quick as possible, and doing a wood frame mount was just the easiest, the fastest, and the cheapest solution. It also gave us the convenience of being able to build it and add on to it as we go. We originally started out with just the 2 sections at the end, and then actually added on these next 2 sections right here. And we also made it a tiltable mount, so that way we could change the angle of it with the 4 seasons and be able to maximize our power output.
Which means as we are entering our warmer summer and sunnier months in the next couple weeks, we will be taking them out in its current tilt and laying it down flat. That way the panels are able to experience the sun for longer and we are able to maximize our output. Total cost of the mount, all of the wood and concrete, as well as the brackets, is about $442. We did save just a little bit on this by milling a few pieces of wood ourselves, but the total cost is about $442. As you can see, we have a ton of space underneath our mount, and so one question that we get often is why have we not turned that into some sort of storage or a place to house the batteries and inverters? And there's a few reasons for that, but the most important one being this isn't permanent for us. We have no idea what we want the outside of our house to look like. It's been a big topic of conversation with Cody and I over the past few weeks as we're finalizing plans for the future. However, we don't know exactly how we want everything, and we don't know if we want to take the solar panels and add them to the top of the roof. So because of that, this leaves it very versatile and movable, or we can easily take it down. Now, how has all of this held up in major wind and storms? And pretty well. We've had to make a few adjustments here and there as we see fit, but we haven't had any issues, and it's pretty sturdy.
As far as the panels go, we have 24 180 watt solar panels from Bouge RV. We really tried to pay attention to when Bouge RV was running sales on the solar panels and only buy them when they were on sale, so that helped save us a lot of money on the panels. So the total cost we spent on all of our solar panels was about $3,313. And we really like these panels because they're extremely heavy duty. We've had at least 3 or 4 hailstorms ever since we put the panels up, and we haven't had damage to any of them.
Another cost that you're going to have when putting up a new solar setup is going to be wiring, but we were very fortunate that an electrician friend of ours had given Cody some wiring prior to us moving from Texas, and so it happened to be the exact wiring that we needed to run the panels to our house, and so we were able to save on that. But if we did have to purchase that wiring, about how much would it cost us?
Depending on how long you have to run it, anywhere from probably 100 to a couple $100. All right, now let's talk batteries and their housing.
If you remember, we redid our battery box a few months ago, making it a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, as well as giving a lot more room to add more batteries. And so with the plywood, insulation, roofing, stain, and all of the other miscellaneous materials, it cost about $120 to build this battery box.
So we have 16 12-volt 100 amp hour batteries. Each battery is about 1,280 watt hours, giving us a total of about 20,480 watt hours of battery capacity. The total cost of the batteries and the battery cables, everything to get them hooked up, was about $3,532. And these lithium batteries are designed to last a really long time, anywhere from 4,000 to 7,000 life cycles to 80% capacity. So that means from fully charged to fully dead, we could use them between 4,000 and 7,000 times before they would start to lose some of that battery capacity. Daily, we use about 50% of our battery capacity, so I believe we could probably get 15 to 20 years out of these batteries before we start losing capacity. We also have a battery monitor that we installed that was about $70. This allows me to monitor the battery capacity on my phone, as well as it monitors temperature and is able to actually shut the battery system off if it reaches over temperature or over discharge or anything like that. The batteries themselves also each have their own individual battery monitoring system built into them, so they also can shut individual batteries down if anything is to occur with them. Forgot to mention the brand, but the brand of the batteries that we use is Better Power, BTR Power. And then the glue that kind of holds it all and brings it all together would be our inverter. We use a 5,000 watt inverter that gives us 120 volt single phase output. It also has a built-in 60 amp charge controller to turn the high voltage from the solar panels into a usable voltage for the battery to be able to charge itself. This is a relatively smaller and cheaper inverter, so we're not able to run every single thing in the house all at once, but it's proven to be very reliable and durable. Eventually we'll probably upgrade to a 10,000 watt inverter and just use this whole system that we've set up for the house for our future shop and kind of just double the capacity of the house and upgrade the house system. Total cost of the inverter itself was about $781, and we got it off Amazon.
Which brings us to the next commonly asked question, which is what all can we power on our current system? On our super sunny days, I can run the dishwasher and the washing machine, vacuum, do all of the things that I need to do, versus cloudy and more rainy days, I have to be a little bit more conservative on power. So it's just a matter of looking at the future forecast and planning your week accordingly. And how often do we really have to use our generator? So in our spring, summer, and early fall months, we don't really use it at all, and we strictly rely on solar, versus in the winter, that's not so much the case, and we do find ourselves relying on our generator a little bit more. Once we increase our battery capacity, we'll be able to store store a lot more power and go many more days without using our generator. But for right now, our current setup serves its purpose just fine, and until we're able to afford more, it works great. So that brings the total cost of our complete solar setup to $8,258, which, if you remember in the beginning of this video, we said it was going to cost about $10,000 just to set up for city power, not including monthly power bills. So I feel like that's not that bad. All right, I think that pretty much wraps everything up. If you have the opportunity, please go check out Ambition Strikes, where I got this video idea. They have an incredibly elaborate, extravagant setup, and it's honestly a setup of dreams, and they go into a ton of detail. So it's set up for a ton more power, and I thought it would be really fun to compare their super large setup compared to our tiny itty bitty little setup. So go check out their video and give them some love. But as always, thank you guys so much for being here. We are very grateful for the community that we built on YouTube, and we wouldn't have any of this if it wasn't for y'all. So
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.
bye guys.
Bye.
Baby, don't you understand?